People today, the story of deluge and devastation still unfolding bit by bit in Uttarakhand. A tragedy of Himalayan proportions. A tragedy that has touched a chord in the national conscience of the country, or has it? That's what we'll be looking at on the program today. The official death toll now stands at 680. That's the official figure released by the government just minutes ago. 680 people have now died. The Chief Minister of Uttarakhand says that hundreds more could be dead. Remember that bad weather slowed down rescue operations today and rains are forecast for tomorrow as well. Our Jawans are rising up to the Himalayan challenge. They have been a story of heroism in the midst of this chaos and grief, connecting cut-off areas, connecting divided families. 70,000 people have been rescued by them, but remember, more than 20,000 people are still stranded, so we don't actually have an estimate of what the final casualty figure will be like. On We the People today, we ask whether we will live from crisis to crisis, headline to headline, or will we learn anything this time? Or will politics remain an eco-insensitive zone? Before we introduce our panel this evening, let's go across live to Siddharth Pandey, my colleague who has been there plodding through broken areas and wading through water to bring us the story from Uttarakhand. Siddharth Pandey is in Gupt Kashi area at this moment. Siddharth, give us a sense of the overall picture at this point. We have an official death toll released by the government, but the Chief Minister saying hundreds more could be dead. We still have areas like Badrinath where thousands of pilgrims are still stranded, and we have the forecast of rains for tomorrow.
Well, Barka, first the bad news, and you're absolutely right, the death toll could definitely climb because the areas that I've trekked, and perhaps people haven't even really been there right now, officials really haven't been there. I've seen dead bodies as well, many of them now covered with debris, so that death toll can definitely go up. There is rain, the rain is now coming in, and I've been trekking, in fact, all the way to Gaurikund. On that route also, we found that there were several bodies which have to be cleared. That will be now the second stage of events. As far as the overall picture is concerned, Kedarnath and the valley has been cleared. That's what the officials are saying. 518 people were airlifted today. Govind Ghat, 1,200 people continue to be stranded. Badrinath, roughly 5,000 people stranded, but they are in no danger. They are in hotels, they've got basic amenities, but right now they can't be moved out because of the fact that the road links are broken. So right now the army really working hard to build bridges to actually get them out. In Yamunotri, 600 people have been saved, and some people insisting that they want to just wait there because their cars are stuck, so they're going to wait until the road is built so their cars can be taken out. It's also, as you said, a disaster of literally Himalayan proportions, and to achieve this kind of result of the kind of rescues that we've seen now, the Air Force incidentally has come in with a massive number of sorties today. It's actually carried out 250 sorties with 45 helicopters just today. 3,200 people rescued, so this probably is a record for them as well. I think no one really anticipated the kind of devastation this tragedy will unfold, but literally we are finding out as we walk mile to mile, we're literally figuring out the scale of what's really happened here. Barkha.
Now, Siddharth, the fact that this is, of course, a natural disaster cannot be disputed, but the dispute has begun over whether if certain policies were in place, more lives could have been saved. I think those are the questions arising tonight. Give us a sense from the images of devastation that you have seen firsthand and the whole country has seen, those buildings right on the river crashing down, tumbling down. The fact that in the state of Uttarakhand, there is a one hydel project for every 5 to 7 kilometers. The fact that water has come pouring down from some of these projects into the Kedar and the Badri valleys, as it were, really causing much of the deluge. This is where the debate actually begins, that were these projects part of the problem when they were actually built to be part of the solution?
Well, Barkha, while of course you can't control nature, what you can try and do is learn from it. You build sensibly. And, you know, right from the lower areas in the town of Srinagar, for example, we found an entire colony had been swept away. In fact, the entire houses were filled with sand. The SSB, which is a paramilitary force, its entire academy built at a cost of more than 4 to 5 crores, inaugurated less than 6 months ago, but built right on the banks of the river, completely destroyed. The big question you want to ask is, was this really clever planning to build it right on the banks of the river? The rivers often, They jumped their banks as well. Not just that, as we've climbed further higher up, we actually have seen many buildings fall apart, many tourist lodges just come apart simply because they've been built right on the edge. There is a pressure of tourism. Everyone wants to really literally cash in on tourism. But the fact is, I think norms have definitely not been adhered to. We've also got the environmentalists questioning the fact that so many dams are being built. This is also a earthquake-prone zone, so I mean there's a big question mark on that as well. Of course, we need clean power, we need hydropower as well, but then of course we have to balance that out with the needs of the ecology, as well as ensuring that if a disaster were to strike, can we make sure that the loss would be minimal. So these are the questions, and of course as we now talk about rebuilding Kedarnath and other parts of Uttarakhand, will these be kept in mind when we are planning about rebuilding, or will this once again just be swept away?
Well, thanks very much, Siddharth. In this country, we tend to live from headline to headline. There's much hand-wringing that comes in the aftermath of every such crisis, and then really it ends up being back to square one. That's what we're asking on We the People today. Is politics an eco-insensitive zone? Why is our discourse so divided? Is it actually a misnomer to position a debate as if it were a choice between development and sustainability? How can there be one without the other? And yet it continues to be one of the most polarizing debates of our country. Pushpesh Pant, let me start with you. As somebody who is from the region, you are a Pahari, and it's heartbreaking for you, it's heartbreaking for everybody to see what is happening. But there is a fierce debate now raging in this country as to whether more lives could have been saved, not just if better systems were in place, but if better policies were in place. What bothers you the most at this point?
I think what bothers me the most is what your prefatory remarks said, that the discussion this evening should not be politicized. Yeah. I fail to see how you can hold people accountable for what has happened. Yeah. This is not only a natural calamity, it is aggravated by man-made disaster. Now, I think people are wondering in Uttarakhand, what is the greater disaster? This cloudburst or a chief minister which was imposed on them against the popular will? I mean, which made relief, disregarded the warnings, etc. That's one part. I think what you are asking is a very difficult question. Before we get into the politics being excluded from the eco-sensitive zone, no politician in power in India has ever paid a price for anything, for criminal negligence, for gross negligence of duty, for abuse of power, for ignorance, arrogance, whatever.